to the Magic of Joy channel. Today I want to discuss something that I think is wonderful. It's how the joy practice that we talk about at the Magic of Joy is a wonderful opportunity to rebalance the ego so that it turns into our friend as it should be. So the ego, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, it defines the ego as your idea or opinion of yourself, especially your feelings of your own importance and your ability. The definition of the ego varies according to who's defining it. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, in psychoanalysis, the part of a person's mind that tries to match the hidden desires or wishes of the id, which is part of the unconscious mind, with the demands of the real world. That's how they define ego. Many spiritual traditions define the ego as a part of us to eradicate, a part of us that is undesirable, a part of us that creates problems for us. So it's fair to say that the ego is a complex topic, and we're not going to look at it exhaustively. There's plenty of information on the internet about it, and I'm not going to argue for one group's definition over another. What is apparent is that there is a general perception that the ego can be a source of problems, and to many, eliminating it is the answer in life if you want to have peace and harmony. So to eliminate the ego, though, which is yourself, is to eliminate many things that are unique to you and that can contribute to your participation in the world. Your ego is where you experience the relationship between yourself and the world, and it can be comfortable or awful depending on a lot of different things. We grew up in a highly competitive world right now, and so ego is often felt as the behavior of those who are ruthlessly competitive. Egoic behavior can be how individuals support themselves after a lot of disappointments, a way of propping themselves up. There's an additional wrinkle about ego in hierarchical systems, which are prevalent as the social system of choice. Those more elevated in the hierarchy often receive greater entitlements than those who are lower in hierarchical status. So when we talk about ego in these situations, we're talking about someone behaving in an exploitive manner towards others, presumably socially inferior. Those hierarchical entitlements or privileges are often a form of abuse that can be perceived as ego manifesting in harmful ways. So the question is worth asking, since an ego is an important part of us: what is a healthy ego? We have so many problems with the ego. To many, it's something to dispense with, an unfortunate part of us. However, our ego is essentially our executive function, the part of us that takes action in the world. And we need to be able to take action in a healthy way. So what does a healthy ego look like that can support us in doing that? So a healthy ego has the ability to access many facets of life and ourselves and work with them in an intelligent way. It has self-regard. It also has self-appreciation. That comes from seeing the good in ourselves and others and the world. It has a grounded sense of self in the world. So it's in touch with reality, one's own gifts, one's limitations, and the limitations in the world around us. It has knowledge of the self. In other words, there's been some attempt to understand oneself and the good in oneself, and also perhaps one's faults. There's an ability to see needs for improvement and self-development, and a willingness to do so from a place of high self-regard. When you have that high self-regard, making improvements just feels like you're adding more to the good that you have to offer, so it isn't such a big deal. A healthy ego is grateful. That's a foundation for living, and an important one. And it keeps a person tied to reality, connected with reality, and serving the common good. And it is connected to and works with reality. So it's not about escapism. A healthy ego is interested in creating as much quality of life as possible. A person with that healthy ego wants to do that for themselves as well as for everybody else. So a healthy ego combines humility and self-appreciation, groundedness with ambition, kindness and compassion with honesty, and a respect for all life, including one's own. A healthy ego creates a grounded, generous, and authentic person. And a person with a healthy ego is a contributor rather than simply a competitor. And I know that's an oversimplification, but it's worth considering. Our world pits one against another in an endless game of competition and favoritism and who's in and who's out. These rejection games are absolutely awful. The competitive dynamics that are created in this environment don't bring out the best in people, except for some skill-based activities like sports, where competition actually is meant to develop skills. For the most part, this kind of competition does not serve us, but it is a social norm, and it does create a lot of social antagonism, a lot of pain, a lot of hurt feelings between people. It is worth noticing that when we discuss the ego as competitor, we're talking about the self and the self operating in the world from a fairly limited perspective. So the question is there another approach that can help us? I personally believe that a joy practice is exactly what we need to make that shift out of that limited perspective of ourselves and our ego into something that's more useful and happier, a way to be happier with ourselves. So a joy practice shifts our interests, our intentions, and purpose to be constructive, caring, and serving the common good. And in doing so, it takes us out of unnecessary and unproductive competition, and it helps us to be our best self while giving our best as a contributor to quality of life in the world. It has a more ecological perspective, an investment in creating quality of life and thriving, so its interest is different. Conquest and victory are not important goals. Quality of life and thriving are. So a lot of the unhealthy ego behaviors that create harm are not really an interest when an individual has a healthy ego and an interest in quality of life. I think it's a relief for each of us and others when we operate this way. It opens up newer and greater possibilities for collaboration, something we need more of in the world, and it makes it safe at the same time. Wouldn't that be wonderful? So thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed learning more about how joy can transform your life. If you found the video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and loved ones. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos on the transformative power of joy. I'll be back soon to give you more information about how joy as a practice and compass can transform your life. Stay well and joyful until then, and thank you for watching.